It's no surprise, it won't shock you, you know this information, that Donald Trump is dangerous. The problem lies right now that there is an ever-increasing ratcheting up of the danger that he poses. He is, through his privately owned personal social media network, since we've seen fit to elect a billionaire to office, an oligarch, he is threatening a day of reckoning and retribution for Minnesota. This entire operation is predicated upon inflicting harm on states that he did not win. He doesn't represent the United States writ large. He does not represent blue states and blue cities. He represents MAGA. He represents red states. Even in the face of his betrayal of them and their best interest, he is now sending his military force, his masked secret police goons, his Trump army that is filled to the brim with current Proud Boys into these cities to, I guess, exact retribution on this day of reckoning. He posted this on Truth Social, and really there's like 4 points I want to make here, but it is remarkable. And then we have members of Congress who are back in this play saying, well, elections have consequences. And I guess the murder of civilians is just one of the consequences of Donald Trump being elected. You'll see that. Here's what Donald Trump wrote. This was just this morning, 8:40 a.m. Eastern time. Do the people of Minnesota really want to live in a community in which there are thousands of already convicted murderers, drug dealers, and addicts, rapists, violent released and escaped prisoners, dangerous people from foreign mental institutions and insane asylums, and other deadly criminals too dangerous to even mention? Let's stop there. Wouldn't you want to mention, for our sake, our benefit, for the safety of the American people, the most dangerous and deadly criminals? They're too dangerous to even tell you about. I'll just tell you about the rapists and the insane asylum people. Tell me you're a fucking liar without telling me you're a fucking liar, Donald Trump. All the patriots of ICE want to do is remove them from your neighborhood and send them back to the prisons and mental institutions from where they came. Most in foreign countries with a capital C, who illegally entered the United States of America through sleepy Joe Biden's horrible open borders policy. Every place we go, crime comes down. Let me address that. This year, there's been 2 shootings in the city of Minneapolis. 50% of those shootings were from ICE. There's only been 2. One of them was the murder, the summary execution of a United States citizen on the streets of Minneapolis. So you tell me about bringing the crime down. You have no factual basis for this. You have no actual statistics for this. It's just the dirty, filthy hole underneath your nose opening and closing as sound comes out. That's all it's worth. In Chicago, despite a weak and incompetent governor and mayor fighting us all the way, a big improvement was made. Thousands of criminals were removed! ! So you know he's serious. Minnesota Democrats love the unrest. Let me address that point. I was on the ground for several days in Minneapolis, in St. Paul also. I spoke to the Minnesota State Senate Majority Leader, Aaron Murphy. I can tell you with every ounce of confidence within me that they are not, what did he say, loving the unrest. I sat down for about a half hour or so with Keith Ellison, the Minnesota State Attorney General, and I can tell you unequivocally he is not loving the unrest. These are people who are emotionally wrought. It is raw in the minds and hearts of every single one of these people. The only people who love the unrest are the ones who are administering the unrest. Donald Trump. The only ones who love the murder of citizens are the ones doing the murdering of citizens. Minnesota Democrats love the unrest that anarchists and professional agitators are causing because it gets the spotlight off the $19 billion that was stolen by really bad and deranged people. Fear not, great people of Minnesota, the day of reckoning and retribution is coming as Donald Trump conducts raids, urban assaults, tactical operations on the streets of Minnesota, as they follow through on the promise of J.D. Vance to go door to door in neighborhoods. No presumption of innocence whatsoever. No adherence to the Constitution, the letter or the spirit of the Constitution. This is fascism. This isn't democracy. This is not the rule of law. This is Donald Trump's whims, his racism. They're going up to people getting gas at gas stations asking, where were you born? Where are your papers? This is Nazi shit. I am fucking done listening to people in the comments, probably not you, but people in the comments, not everything's racist. If you start calling people racist, it's going to make them racist. That's the talk of morons. That's the talk of racist, is what it is. There's even some progressive content creators right now out there who are saying shit like this. And it's stupid. It is unhelpful. It's damaging. It sets us back. Because when the Homeland Security Department, when the Trump administration is just stealing Nazi rhetoric, Nazi slogans, and putting them in English on their website, this is Nazi shit that is taking place. There's no other way to look at it. There is no other way to look at it. There's not an alternate, give me the context. What's the context? No. This is Donald Trump, a white supremacist, endeavoring to create a white ethno-state in America. And he's telling the great people of Minnesota to fear not, the day of reckoning and retribution is coming. This is what he means by that. Watch this brief, not even 20-second clip of a woman screaming for mercy, begging, while she is being kidnapped by anonymous, masked secret police in Donald Trump's personal army that is now assaulting and invading the city of Minneapolis. This, on the streets of America, is a scene that is playing out day after day, dozens of times every single day in Minneapolis. And look, if that's not alarming enough for you, here's a clip from Ford Fisher. I believe he runs News to Share is the name of the outfit. And he was on the scene the evening that I flew out. I was probably still on a plane when this took place. Right at the Whipple Federal Building, where Brittany Page and I were out there protesting ICE, getting in the face of ICE, calling them the feckless, weak cowards that they are. They serve a white supremacist. They serve a Nazi. They serve a child rapist. The same space that we occupied during the day turned into a war zone at night. And I can tell you, having been there multiple days, people are peaceful. Are they screaming? Yes. Is screaming justified while people are being kidnapped off the streets? Yes. Watch this.
To include the deployment of crowd control chemical munitions.
Are you okay? Hey, wait! Right here! We got medic. We got medic.
Oh shit! We're not going anywhere.
If that doesn't get your heart racing, I don't know what's possibly wrong with you. I think the vast majority of people who witness that are alarmed that this is taking place in the streets of America. And it's not just Minnesota. But apparently what you just witnessed is the consequence of elections. You hear the saying all the time that elections have consequences. Normally, it's about tax policy or what percentage of our GDP we dedicate to national defense and funding the military, what kind of entitlement programs and how much they should be funded. It usually isn't the murder of civilians on the streets of America. That's usually not the consequence that we expect or should expect from an election. But if you're Wesley Hunt, a dipshit lapdog, tongue right up Donald Trump's ass as far as it can go, that's what he believes. And that's what he said on Fox News yesterday.
People have to understand that President Trump won this election and he ran on this. We had 20 million people enter this country illegally. The American people realize that this is unacceptable. We have a $38 trillion debt. We are running a $2 trillion annual deficit. We can't afford this. And the fraud that we are uncovering in places like Minnesota is a big piece of this problem. We are simply cracking down on the issues that won the president this last election. And what I also want people to understand is this. We need to be thanking these people for putting their lives on the line every single day to carry out the orders of our government. And the way to fight this is not to obstruct justice of the federal government, is to win an election. And because you lost this last election, these are the consequences, and you don't want to accept it. At the end of the day, we are on the right side of history. America needs to clean up our immigration policies. Those people that entered this country illegally did in fact break the law, and it's time for us to get very serious on this issue.
Imagine being that kind of a simp, just a lapdog, just a yes man. It is remarkable, and even more egregious that he's a black man. Because let me tell you, Wes, when they're done with all of the migrants, you're next, my friend. Fascism always needs an enemy, and when they vanquish their enemies, MAGA will come for you because you're not the right color. You might think, they think I'm one of the good ones. You're not. Just by virtue of the level of melanin in your skin, you will not be saved. So quit simping. Sickening. As Donald Trump promises a day of reckoning and retribution, you've got Republicans out there justifying it. Justifying the murder of American citizens, the assaults, the tear gassing of peaceful protesters. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation.
That vocal minority out on the streets, they're being set up. They're almost like cannon fodder.
You know, being insecure and carrying with you, even into adulthood, late adulthood, your elderly years, carrying with you insecurities about a number of different things is natural. I got my own insecurities. I'm dealing with them. Yeah, it's what it is. We're human, right? But when you allow it to pour onto people and impact the lives of other people, your deep-seated insecurity, in the case of Greg Bovino, it's the fact that he's like 5'5", that he's a weak and insignificant character, a man of little stature, physical stature. I think Adam Kinzinger the other day, there was a screenshot of Bavino with all of his masked anonymous goons. And he said, well, who knew it was bring your child to work day at ICE? And I like it. It's not a dig against him for being short. It's a dig against him for allowing it to pour out and hurt other people. The fact that he feels bad about himself. I can't help that I'm 6'3". He can't help that he's 5'2". It's the way it is, but we shouldn't allow the things that bother us to impact others. Having said that, here Greg Bavino was on with Hannity last night, and he said a number of, one, wild, insane lies, but also insane things about protesters being cannon fodder. We'll get to it, but let's start with this one where he lies and talks about what took place in a Target. I'll show you that video for context, but also that 90% of people agree and approve. They're happy with what ICE and Border Patrol are doing. Watch noted tiny liar Greg Bavino.
Something else here as far as what happened in that Target store is truly I felt sorry for the public. And the reason for that, Sean, is by and large, 90% of the public are happy to see us. They like to engage with us. They like to talk with us and find out about our missions and what we do. A lot of people ask about recruitment and things like that. But when you have that very vocal 5%, it actually scares the public. And, you know, I actually felt sorry for the public in the Target store that day because it actually scared them.
90%, huh, little guy? 90%. Well, this was taken January 7th. This YouGov poll, this is the day before Renee Good was murdered by Jonathan Ross on the streets of Minneapolis. And as you can see here, 40% strongly disapprove of do you approve or disapprove of how Immigration and Customs Enforcement is handling their job? This isn't even about do you believe they should exist, that it should be abolished. It's just, do you agree with how they're handling their job? 40% strongly disapprove and 12% somewhat disapprove. For those of you who are as bad at math as me, it's 52%. It is not 90% approve. Before the shooting, it was 52% disapprove, 40% strongly disapprove. There's a saying in the law that falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. False in one thing, you can just assume it's false in everything. If he's willing to lie about something like this, he's willing to just continue to spew lies. And that is exactly what he did. Before I get to those, though, he mentioned the Target incident on Hannity just there. This is what he's talking about. And I also want to play this to demonstrate the resolve that is being shown by the citizens of Minneapolis. And I hope that this is a blueprint, that we can emulate this particular style and flavor of resistance and have it map on to cities all across the country, because there's one guy in the crowd who's not taking it. He was as loud and as aggressive as I was out there last week. And I am, for one, here for it. Even at the end when he's like, if you didn't have your badge and your guns, I would kick your ass or something. And little Greg Bavino, he turns around like he's going to do something. It is, if it wasn't so sad and tragic about what's going on right now in our country, it would be funny to watch these just feckless Keystone Cop dipshits act like they're tough. They're cosplaying like military warriors. Greg Bavino with his tactical helmet and all of his gear, and he's wearing his fascist uniforms and shit like he's in with the Hannity. He's never served in the military. He's a wannabe. A wannabe. Never will be. Watch this thing from Target.
All these fucking bums. Fucking bum. You're a bitch. And if your wife is, I'll probably fuck her too. You guys are all bitches. You can't do shit to me. You can't do a thing to me. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Nobody fucking wants you here. Right, get the fuck out. Walk the fuck out, you stupid bitches. Get the fuck out of here. You dumb. The fuck out of here. You fucking coward. You're a fucking coward, bitch. You're a fucking bitch. Hold on, baby. I'm on the phone with these bitch ass niggas. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you stupid bitches. You're a fucking coward piece of shit. Fuck you. And if you didn't have a gun or a badge, I would beat the shit out of you. Take that fucking badge off and that fucking gun and see what happens. You shut the fuck up. Grab that fucking tongue. You're a bitch. Get the fuck out, you fucking pussy. You fucking bitch ass white boys. I'll fucking spill on you. Fucking get out of here. Get the fuck out. Fuck out of here. Fuck out. Stay back. Stay back. Stay back. Fuck off. Stay back. Easy. Easy. Back up. Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, man. You fucking. You're a bitch. Fuck out. Nobody wants you here. Nobody wants you here. Nobody wants you here.
Well, that's one more reason not to shop at Target, allowing bathroom breaks for the fascists. They're also, it's a propaganda operation. I've been talking about it both when I was in Minneapolis, but also since I've been back, that they have cameras embedded in their helmets. Sometimes they have multiple cameras on their chest. All this footage is going to be used for monitoring protesters, monitoring resistors, but also to create propaganda for the Homeland Security Department. You saw the masked secret police force guy with his camera. I guess he's on the social media team. He's not out there cracking skulls. He's too weak for that even. And if you ask Greg Bovino about what the cause of the violence is, what the cause of the murder at the hands of ICE agents is, he'll tell you it's the rhetoric. It's people like me who are causing agents to draw their weapons and pull the trigger multiple times on peaceful protesters in the city of Minneapolis.
But I think they're creating an environment where they're putting your lives at risk. And I think more agents will get hurt, more individuals will get hurt as a result. Am I wrong? Do you connect the rhetoric to the violence?
Sean, that's perfectly stated. Absolutely. That rhetoric does cause the violence. We've heard those elected representatives, as you've said, say some very terrible things about law enforcement, about federal agents, and that's reflected in what you see by that vocal minority out on the streets. And they actually take what those elected representatives say and they put it into action. And that's too bad because they're being set up. They're almost like cannon fodder, Sean. Those elected representatives and those so-called community leaders and social media influencers, they don't care if these individuals get hurt or killed. They're after a reaction. And I'll tell you what, our law enforcement officers here in Minneapolis and across the United States do a fantastic job in dealing with this every day. A lot of restraint and professionalism, as you can see on display.
Two things. One, your protests will cause us to murder you, he says. That's what rhetoric does cause violence. Words, rhetoric, does cause violence. Your words cause us to kill you. That's what he's saying. Your words cause us to brutalize you. He's taken an oath to the Constitution. And in that Constitution, we have the First Amendment, our freedom of speech, our freedom to assemble, our freedom to redress our government of our grievances. And he says doing that will cause us to harm you. And then the other thing there that I think is the most alarming aspect of all of that was said, I got one more clip, but all that was said on Hannity last night is that protesters are almost like cannon fodder. If you don't know, here's Merriam-Webster. We'll be referring to Merriam-Webster another time today. Cannon fodder from Merriam-Webster. Soldiers regarded or treated as expendable in battle. So he believes that Renee Good was expendable. Any protester who uses their rhetoric is expendable. Easily able to just be killed, to be discarded. They're going to tell you who they are, and when they do, believe them. This is why I say Democrats should not, and there will be consequences if you do, vote for legislation that benefits the agenda of Donald Trump, that advances the agenda of Donald Trump. You don't vote for his motherfucking nominees. You don't vote for Jared Kushner's dad to be the ambassador of Paris, Cory Booker. When asked about ICE, you don't make justifications. Oh, yeah, we need ICE, but we just need them to do their job right, Amy Klobuchar. Get with the program. Understand where we are in America. We're losing our republic to a fascist, to a violent, secret police force. And if you wonder how Greg Bovino, you probably don't have to wonder, but if you are out there just like, I wonder, curious, I wonder what Greg Bovino thinks about the killing of Renee Good, the murder of Renee Good. Who's he going to take up the side of? Yeah, the bit's not working, obviously. In this clip, he says, hats off to Jonathan Ross. Hats off for killing Renee Good.
Oh, I could see that, but you know what? The rhetoric keeps getting ratcheted up, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And you know, now we've had an opportunity to look at that video. There is no ambiguity for anyone with eyes to see that the individual that ended up getting shot in this case had been taunting officers along with her partner for an extended period of time, and then you hear her partner say to drive. She goes in reverse and right in the path of an officer. Now, is that justified use of force? To me, it's not even a close call.
Sean, we call that means, intent, and opportunity. Did that individual have the intent? Look at those minutes leading up to the shooting, and we will see what I would consider some pretty important intent. Did that individual have the opportunity? Yes. Did that individual take that opportunity? Yes. A 4,000-pound missile is not something anyone wants to face, especially in a split-second decision-making process in a very already inhospitable environment. Hats off to that ICE agent. I'm glad he made it out alive. I'm glad he's with his family.
Hats off to that ICE agent. A man who was so ashamed of what he did for a living, he told his neighbors he was a botanist. An expert in working with plants. That's what he told his neighbors, because they're ashamed of what they do. They're afraid of what people will think of them, because at their root, they're all like their half pint leader, their little mini me leader, their fascist wannabe military guy, but couldn't hack it. Greg Bovino, Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, all of these assholes. They want to be this so badly, but they just, weakness. But hats off to him for taking the life of an innocent woman who was peacefully there in the streets, turning her wheel away from him as he was filming with one hand and firing his weapon with the other. Total control, totally following all of his training and the regulations for behavior of discharging a firearm. Yeah. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching it. You can call me on my voicemail line, and you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I do want to hear from you. Big day. Look, I'll save it. I'll save it for the next one. I love and appreciate you very much. Share this video with somebody who needs the information. Make sure you're subscribed and you like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I would appreciate it very much. We all got to get this in together. You know, we got to wrap our arms around each other and support one another. Take time for yourself. I said I was going to shut up. Anyway, we are a disgrace on the world stage right now. We cannot be trusted as a nation because of Donald Trump, because of Pete Hegseth. Looks like Pete Hegseth has got another scandal on his hands related to the accusations that just aren't going away that he's a war criminal. And the generals and the commanders that are following his orders are following illegal orders. And you don't have to just listen to me. I have right here in my hands the updated Department of Defense Law of War manual. I only have a few pages, just the pages I'm going to read, because this is nearly a 1,300-page document. And the admonitions, the prohibitions against what he did in this new allegation is mentioned like almost 75 times. This is the headline from the New York Times. U.S. attacked boat with aircraft that looked like a civilian plane. Even accepting the Trump administration's claim that there is an armed conflict with suspected drug runners, the laws of war bar perfidy. If you're unaware of the word, it is, one of these old-fashioned words. Perfidy, here we are again with the Merriam-Webster definitions. Perfidy, the quality or state of being faithless or disloyal. Treachery, an act or instance of disloyalty. Seems to fit Pete Hegseth pretty well. What are the synonyms, you may ask, that Merriam-Webster puts down? Infidelity, check, Pete Hegseth. Adultery, check, Pete Hegseth. Betrayal, disloyalty, treachery, faithlessness, check, 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 Pete Hegseth. Perfidy. Perfidy Pete, I guess, right? It just kind of rolls right off the tongue. Beautiful. Here's the article from the New York Times. I'm just going to read a few paragraphs, and then we're going to get to this. I've just got 3 examples of the 73 times that it's mentioned in here, that it is not negotiable. It is not a suggestion. It is listing perfidy as prohibited in combat. The Pentagon used a secret aircraft painted to look like a civilian plane in its first attack on a boat that the Trump administration said was smuggling drugs, killing 11 people last September, according to officials briefed on the matter. The aircraft also carried its munitions inside the fuselage rather than visibly under its wings, they said. The non-military appearance is significant, according to legal specialists, because the administration has argued its lethal boat attacks are lawful, not murders, because President Trump, quote unquote, determined the United States is in an armed conflict with drug cartels. But the laws of armed conflict prohibit combatants from feigning civilian status to fool adversaries into dropping their guard, then attacking and killing them. That is a war crime called perfidy. Retired Major General Stephen L. Lepper, a former Deputy Judge Advocate General for the United States Air Force, said that if the aircraft had been painted in a way that disguised its military nature and got close enough for the people on the boat to see it, tricking them into failing to realize they should take evasive action, or surrender to survive, that was a war crime under armed conflict standards. That's not coming from me, a former enlisted guy in the Marine Corps. That's not coming from some keyboard warrior who just acting like they're an expert in these matters. That is coming from a retired Major General, Judge Advocate General, expert, subject matter expert. Quote, shielding your identity is an element of perfidy, he said. If the aircraft flying above is not identifiable as a combatant aircraft, it should not be engaged in combatant activity. Now, he's making a bunch of assertions here, like, well, if this, if that. The reporting shows that everything he's saying is absolutely what took place. That not only was it disguised as a civilian aircraft, but it flew low enough that it was recognized by these people, and they thought it to be. In the law, you have the elements of a crime. Some crimes have 4 elements, some just have 2, but all of the elements have to be met in order to secure a conviction. And all of the elements of this crime have been met here. Absolutely. Pete Hegseth, Perfidy Pete, is a war criminal. Again, multiple times. This is why you don't put insecure dipshits who are ashamed of the fact that they have little toothpick legs, that they can barely stand under their own weight, as the Department of Defense's secretary. This is why. This is why. The aircraft swooped in low enough for the people aboard the boat to see it, according to officials who have seen or been briefed on surveillance video from the attack. The boat had turned back toward Venezuela, apparently after seeing the plane before the first strike. Before the first strike. Two survivors, this is the last paragraph here, two survivors of the initial attack later appeared to wave at the aircraft after clambering aboard an overturned piece of the hull, before the military killed them in a follow-up strike that also sank the wreckage. It's not clear whether the initial survivors knew that the explosion on their vessel had been caused by a missile attack. So this military aircraft, disguised as a civilian aircraft, practicing perfidy, committed a war crime. Pete Hegseth ordered a war crime. This commander, Admiral Bradley, followed through on that unlawful order. Gee, I wonder, can somebody help me? Why is it that senators who have military experience and Congress people who have military experience and intelligence experience, why would they make a video saying, please, to the members of the military, only follow lawful orders? I wonder, it's just really beyond, somebody must have to explain it to me, because I don't understand why they would do that, right? Oh my God, why would they do that? Nobody's going to order any unlawful action, except for Perfidy Pete. So here we go. Again, the Department of Defense Law of War Manual. This is from the Trump government, right? I got it written down here in bigger print, so I don't have to put my glasses on. Again, 1,254 pages, 73 mentions of perfidy. This is from page 68, if you want to find this document. For example, enemies, again, not a suggestion. This is the Law of War Manual for the Department of Defense, the Department of War. This is in their own regulations, rules and regulations, laws. It's the law and order party, right? But it's all about the rules. We have to follow the rules. The rules are there for a reason. Yeah. For example, page 68, for example, enemies must deal with one another in good faith in their non-hostile relations. And even in the conduct of hostilities, good faith prohibits, 1, killing or wounding enemy persons by resort to perfidy. It's, you see the word there, right? Prohibits. It's not a suggestion. It is prohibited. Page 200, combatants may not kill or wound the enemy by resort to perfidy. May not. And then page 927, deception by naval forces, including the use of enemy or neutral flags. In general, the rules concerning good faith, ruses, and perfidy also apply to naval warfare. For example, it would be prohibited for a belligerent warship to convey falsely the appearance of a hospital ship. What do you got to say, MAGA? What do you got to say, Trump cult? This is from Donald Trump's own Defense Department. This is it. This is the organization that we fund with $1 trillion of taxpayer money every year. Not $1 trillion for every other year or every third year. Every year, $1 trillion. It is forbidden. It is prohibited to do so. But Perfidy Pete don't care. In between sips of tumblers filled with Maker's Mark, Perfidy Pete is committing war crimes. Going back, once they're on the vessel and unarmed and unable to defend themselves, that was the first war crime. And now we're learning that the initial attack was also a war crime. We are a disgrace on the world stage right now. We cannot be trusted as a nation because of Donald Trump, because of Pete Hegseth, because of the admirals and general officers who are willing to follow unlawful, illegal, immoral, unethical lines, to violate norms of war, laws of war. Anyway, I welcome you to this conversation. If you have a military background of a higher rank than I possessed as an enlisted Marine, I'd love to hear from you. If you were in the JAG Corps, if you have any rules of engagement authority or excuse me, expertise, I'd love to hear from you. My message would be quit your job. Find another way to provide for yourself and your families than the delivering of misery to American citizens, the murder of American citizens. I received not a ton, but some pushback of what people saw. I'm gonna give you a couple more clips here of those people who are upset with what they saw of me on the front lines, so to speak, with ICE agents and me berating them and cursing at them and calling them fucking Nazis. If you were upset at that, you might as well click off now, because what you're getting ready to see is far more aggressive than that initial video from when the days when I was in Minneapolis. But the reason I do it, and the reason I am recalcitrant to criticism on this this particular point, is that it serves a purpose. And that purpose is to demoralize ICE agents, to cause mental and emotional grief and anguish for this masked secret police force, to make them lose morale. And that is what we're finding out from reporting. I'm going to read from this Raw Story article, but before I do, let me show you what the scene was outside the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis while they were shooting pepper balls and trying to intimidate us. And there you can hear me and also all kinds of other people in the crowd leveling criticism and insults and explaining to them that they won't be forgiven. It will not be forgotten. They will be held accountable when all of this is over. That just following orders, the way the Nazis did it in the previous century, will be met with a closed ear. So here, let me mash a couple of clips together from that day at the Whipple Federal Building, and then I'll get into this headline that for your preview is there is a genuine fear. Analyst reveals DHS agents hesitant about deployment. So much so, by the way, that they're seeking volunteers, which is in itself a problem, because it means even now the most diehard psychopaths will be dispatched to the streets of Minneapolis. But first, here, me and my fellow resistors and protesters out there at the Whipple Federal Building facing down ICE.
The rules on us, but not him. Oh, now you're gonna fucking do it. Now you're gonna fucking do it. God damn, shame on you.
Cozy to the Nazi, huh?
Especially you. Fucking civilians with pepper balls. You cowardly little fucking...
Fuck off, coward!
What about him? What about him?
He's okay, but we're not?
Light it up, bitch!
Masked Nazi fucks! Cowards, too ashamed of what you do to show your face, you little bitch! Half-pint bitches! Half-pint little cowards!
Look at this one. Arms out, still looks big.
Discipline or strength. He's weak.
At least his face is on.
He's the token for Trump. They work for a child rapist. They proudly take orders from a child rapist.
You remember
Trump raped little girls, and you're a bootlicking coward.
I care.
You're a lapdog for a fucking white supremacist.
Hey, if you're a parent, he flew here for this.
And look, if your criticism is me calling him a half-pint bitch or whatever, whatever. If you're splitting hairs over the tactics or the language used, you're not in this for the fight. You're not in this to actually fight fascism. That's the extent of what we could do without being murdered ourselves. And I can tell you, I looked into their eyes as they choked on their own pepper spray. Weekly, choking on their own pepper spray. They don't want to be there. Many of these dudes did not want to be there. Some were giddy and gleeful. They wish they could unleash and come and take me and the rest of the people on the line there. But there's certainly there is an element out there that they feel demoralized and their hearts aren't in this. My message would be, quit your job. Find another way to provide for yourself and your families, if indeed you have families, than misery, the delivering of misery to American citizens, the murder of American citizens. Again, there is a genuine fear, analyst reveals DHS agents hesitant about deployment. Immigration agents are privately expressing hesitation about their deployments as they face growing backlash from lawmakers and civilians alike, according to a new report. A Department of Homeland Security memo that was leaked to independent journalist Ken Klippenstein appears to show the agency calling on agents to volunteer for the surge in Minneapolis, calling on volunteers because they can't find enough people. People are pushing back saying, I don't want to go. This isn't for me. I don't want to do this. So they get the most rabid, untrained idiots out there. However, agents who spoke with Klippenstein said some are hesitant because of the dangers it entails. The memo tells agents to keep a low profile, hide any insignia that could tie them to Border Patrol or Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, and to be mindful of what they post on social media. Quote, a Border Patrol agent familiar with the discussion said the volunteer push reflects real unease in the ranks about the Good shooting in Minneapolis and the related surge, Klippenstein reported. He spoke with one agent that DHS has the manpower for its surge already, but some just don't want to go. Quote, there might be some immature knuckleheads who think they are out there trying to capture Nicolas Maduro, but most field officers see a clear need for de-escalation, a high-level career official at Homeland Security headquarters told Klippenstein. Quote, there is genuine fear that indeed ICE's heavy-handedness and the rhetoric from Washington is more creating a condition where the officers' lives are in danger rather than the other way around, which is contrary to what you're hearing from Greg Bovino, who I just talked about. The rhetoric will cause more violence. There will be more bloodshed. The mushmouth dildo with ears Tom Homan said on Fox News. That your criticism of us, your criticism of our murders is going to cause more murders, is effectively what he said on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker. The hesitation comes at a time when tensions are running high in Minneapolis following the killing of Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother who was protesting an ICE raid. Good was shot by agent Jonathan Ross. Never forget his fucking name, Jonathan Ross, the man who claimed he was a botanist because he's so ashamed of his job. He's another one of these cowards who covers his face because he's ashamed of what he's doing. He knows it's unpopular. He knows it's illegal. He knows it's tyrannical. So they cover their face. Cowardice. Weakness. Good was shot by ICE agent Jonathan Ross while she was trying to leave the scene. Good's killing sparked protests nationwide. Law enforcement experts have pointed out that Ross appears to have violated several ICE policies during the shooting. Trump administration officials have defended Ross's actions and says he enjoys absolute immunity, which is something no one enjoys. Absolute immunity is not a thing for police officers. It's not even a thing for Donald Trump, absolute immunity. But they want you to believe that they have absolute immunity. Donald Trump wants these officers, these ICE agents, these masked secret police, his private Proud Boy army. He wants them to believe they have absolute immunity for their crimes. And look, I know I just said it doesn't exist. Under law, it doesn't exist as a concept, but it might be. I mean, would you be surprised if Donald Trump just gave a presidential pardon up front to Jonathan Ross? That's the gun we're looking down. That is the barrel of the gun that we're staring into, is Donald Trump's pardon power right now, which is why it is so critical to impeach, convict, and remove this motherfucker from office before he dies in his sleep this year, which I am very giddy for. A dead Donald Trump is a good Donald Trump. Of course, I'm talking about natural causes. He soils himself in his bed as he aspirates on a Big Mac. He falls asleep while eating. You know, who's gonna complain about that? You know, other than his dopey kids. Anyway, what do you think? Too radical? I don't think so. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work. $2 a month goes a long way to support this work. If I'm able to marshal the size of this growing audience, if 1% were to give $2 a month, we could very much do some very good work here. And I would appreciate it very much. You can also go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Same deal, better deal for your donation, because they only take like 5% and YouTube takes over 30%. So patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Love you. Appreciate you.
We're here to announce a lawsuit we're filing against the United States Department of Homeland Security to end the unlawful, unprecedented surge of the federal law enforcement agents into Minnesota, because this has to stop.
On Saturday, I sat down with the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, Keith Ellison. It was good to see him again. He's resolute. He stands with the other political leaders in Minnesota to hold this administration accountable. And I pressed him off mic, off camera, and on camera about taking action to push back against this. Even with the Senate Majority Leader, Aaron Murphy, I said, there needs to be action. You need to use your political station to pull the levers of power to hold Donald Trump accountable, to make it illegal for these mass secret police goons, these Proud Boys in federal officer uniforms, to be masked. And it looks like, in no way, I know it's sounding like this, that I'm taking credit for this. It's not. I'm not doing that. But it is awesome to know that they are on top of the job. They're not just sending tersely worded emails and making feckless statements like Chuck Schumer. They're actually doing something. They're filing lawsuits. And Keith Ellison, along with the Hennepin County DA, along with the mayor, along with the governor, they are filing a lawsuit right now against the federal government to stop this invasion of their city, to stop the summary execution of citizens, the kidnapping of migrants off the streets of Minneapolis. I, for one, am here for it. Here is the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, announcing the lawsuit. And then we're going to play a little clip that I think is just chef's kiss about the fecklessness, the poorly trained officers who are being aggressive. And he's calling balls and strikes. And I, for one, I think we should all be here for that. Here he is announcing the lawsuit.
We've come together and we're here to announce a lawsuit we're filing against the United States Department of Homeland Security to end the unlawful, unprecedented surge of the federal law enforcement agents into Minnesota, because this has to stop. It just has to stop. We allege that the obvious targeting of Minnesota for our diversity, for our democracy, and our differences of opinion with the federal government is a violation of the Constitution and of federal law. We allege that the surge's reckless impact on our schools, on our local law enforcement, is a violation of the 10th Amendment and the sovereign laws and powers of the Constitution grants to states. We allege that DHS's use of excessive and lethal force, their warrantless, racist arrests, their targeting of our courts, our churches, houses of worship, and schools are a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act on arbitrary and capricious federal actions. And we ask that the courts will end the surge of thousands of DHS agents into Minnesota.
Look, I never thought that I would be so excited for lawsuits to stop Donald Trump, because it won't just delay with the fecklessness with which Donald Trump operates, the idiots that he puts in place, you know, the Alina Habas and the Lindsay Halligans and the Pam Bondis and the Kash Patels, all of these absolute skillless morons who just do their crimes in the most sloppy fashion. They can't indict James Comey. They can't indict Letitia James. They're now going back to the trough to try to get Letitia James wrapped up in a case. There are grand juries are rejecting charges against Donald Trump's political opponents. Like, nope, this is not real. This is bullshit. We're not doing it. And then if it does get to a judge, like the DC sandwich guy, the guy who hurled the Subway sandwich, I shouldn't call it a sandwich. Subway doesn't make sandwiches. I don't know what that is, but it's not a sandwich. He threw some kind of a food product at an ICE agent or a federal agent. And when the grand jury rejected it as a felony charge and it went to court as a misdemeanor charge, the jury said, fuck off with this. Get out. We're not doing this. And they didn't convict him. And I see that there's judges and juries out there who are going to see this for what it is, this operation, that it is illegal, it is an incursion, it is an invasion of an American city by a paramilitary force that is anonymous and serves only Donald Trump. Reasonable people will absolutely help in this regard. Here is a second clip where he talks about the poorly trained officers. I started our interview on Saturday talking about the fact that ICE is hiring functionally illiterate morons who can't pass open book tests that quiz them on the rules surrounding the Fourth Amendment against illegal search and seizure, the rules and regulations about detainment and questioning and use of force. These people can't even pass an open book. You gotta, oh, here's the question. Can you do? And they have the answers in their hand and they can't pass the test. People who have to leave training to go attend to a court case because they have gun charges in court. They've committed crimes. I talked about this to him, and I'm thankful that he is using his platform, his position of authority, to talk about it too.
And I wish I could stop there, but I can't, because these poorly trained, aggressive, and armed agents of the federal state have terrorized Minnesota with widespread unlawful conduct. They're making unconstitutional arrests and using excessive force. DHS agents have barged into restaurants asking to access secure areas. And when asked to present a warrant, which is required by law, they respond, "We don't need one." DHS agents have arrested peaceful bystanders. They have fired chemical irritants at people obeying lawful orders while exercising their First Amendment rights. They have even done so at some of our most sensitive places, like Roosevelt High School here in Minneapolis. They have detained law-abiding citizens, leaving them handcuffed for hours just because of the color of their skin or what they're wearing, or they speak English with an accent. And on January 7th, 2026, a DHS agent shot and killed Renee Nicole Good, leaving her children without a mother and her 6-year-old son without either parent. This has to stop.
This has to stop. And hopefully it will. Hopefully a federal judge will put an end to this, because it is so self-evident. It is clear of what's taking place. The thousands of videos right now all over the internet of insanity taking place on the streets of Minneapolis. And this is just one municipality. We're not talking about LA or what happened in New Orleans or what happened in Chicago or what is continuing to happen here in the streets of Washington, D.C., where armed National Guard still occupy the city in which I live. We are under military occupation because it's a blue city, just like Minneapolis, just like LA, just like Chicago, just like New Orleans. Do you see a pattern here? He's not going to Austin. He's not going to some city in Utah. He's not going to Dallas or Houston. He's not attacking cities in Florida. It's only blue cities and blue states. I want to see results in this lawsuit, and I hope you do too. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video, or you can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Hey, share this video with somebody. Click subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Go over to the Dollemore Daily Facebook page and like and follow that page. The more eyeballs and ears we get on this content, the more truth that we disseminate, the more hearts and minds we can change. I've said many times that I get all kinds of emails about, I used to be a Republican. Thank you. You helped me get out of it. Your information, the things you say, and the receipts you bring convince me. So speaking of changing hearts and minds, the clip I'm getting ready to show you made me emotional, which again, isn't saying too much because commercials make me emotional. Brittany Page and I watched Die Hard over the Christmas time, and both of us got emotional at the very end. When Bruce Willis comes out of the Nakatomi Tower, and the dad from Family Matters, the Urkel dad, he was there, and the music rises and they recognize each other even though they've never seen each other, and they know they were the one they were talking. You know, I got teary. I'm a guy who cries at the West Wing. That's the kind of guy I am, unashamed of it. And this made me emotional. My cousin Daniil sent me this video. Still lives in Idaho. Here's a little picture of us when we were kids. My little brother on the left there. The little blonde is my cousin Katie. Love those people. Good, decent people from Idaho, still there. And she sent me this in a Facebook message and said, this guy talks about you. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Anyway, so this is from Midas Touch. Apparently they have a show, or they're linked in their network with a podcast that's called Leaving MAGA, hosted by a guy named Rich Logus. And he interviews a guy named Jerry from Missouri. And in the thing, I watched this episode, he talks about diversifying the media consumption, what he was hearing, who he was listening to. And he mentions me. Now, I absolutely in no way, shape, or form think that I am the sole purveyor of information, the sole commentator on the news that pushed him out of MAGA and away from the nonsense that he believed wholeheartedly. If you listen to the interview, and you should, I'll link below for sure. Watch this video. But it means to me that all the criticism that I get about you're yelling and you're screaming, you're not going to convince anybody the way you're acting. That style there's no efficacy in the way you act, Jesse Dollemore. I hear that all the time. Maybe not those words, but I'm paraphrasing. And it's not true. I've said many times that I get all kinds of emails all the time about, I used to be a Republican. Thank you. You helped me get out of it. Your information, the things you say, and the receipts you bring convinced me that I was in the cult, that I was living contrary to the principles of our nation, the rules and the laws set forth in the Constitution. So watch this. I don't think it's even 2 minutes long, this particular section. I'll link below. Please go watch this full video. Jerry, I love you, brother. And Rich, good show. I think you're doing important work. We need people to wake up and see the truth. Watch this clip. We'll talk a little bit about it on the other side.
You know, I relate to what you're saying because it got to a point where I diversified my news and information sources, and I started to realize that a lot of what I believed was false. Yeah. And it took me an entire year to leave because I I had believed years and years worth of lies.
Exactly. And that's where my deconstruction came in real helpful. I mean, one of the things that I was raised with as a kid was Jesus did great things. And if you have enough faith in God, then you can do great things as well. You can do greater things. And they would use Lazarus as an example. So I heard a lot of preachers that were coming over visiting from Africa or that had gone to missions in Africa or South America, telling these stories about, raising the dead. And that was a bad way to set me up. But I later learned that doesn't happen. That's not a thing. And so that caused me to ask even more questions. And understanding better about legitimate subjects like science. I deal with fibromyalgia. So I needed to understand the truth about fibromyalgia. So I studied it. As far as diversifying information, I started listening to veterans. I absolutely love Jesse Dollemore. He's former Marine. He grew up as a Republican, and he grew up as one of those charismatic evangelicals. And he's got some solid opinions. I like listening to him. Of course, like anybody else, I don't agree with him all the time. But yeah, that's definitely the direction I lean. And that's what got me out.
Yeah, and look, that's the other thing is Mike talking about religion all the time. When I break out the bat phone to Jesus and talk about these grifters and these hucksters and these charlatans like Hank Kuhneman, who purports to speak for the God, the creator of the universe, and he goes into a trance and he starts giving a prophecy from God. These people are fucking liars. It's so clear to me. So when I do that, that's not an attack on religion. That's not an attack on Christianity. That's an attack on charlatanry. That's an attack on snake oil salesmen. That's an attack on con artists. I'm not doing in the Bible like we were taught as kids, touch not God's anointed, every one of our wacky ass pastors would say, meaning don't criticize me. Don't question the things that I'm teaching. Jerry saw it. He lived it too. I'm here for it. So this is a lesson for all of us, not just me, but I'm learning a lesson. I'm taking a lesson from this. This is what I'm taking away, is to always talk to people. Always tell them, even if it's aggressive, even if it's a way that you don't think might not land. If we're going to go back to the Bible here, I'll break out the phone again. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. If you're putting the truth out there, there's another scripture that talks about the word of God shall not go forth void. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about it in those terms, but when you put something out there into somebody's ear, it might not change their mind in that moment, in that very moment, but it will stick there and it will grow. Just like conspiracy theories from MAGA world metastasize in the minds of the cult, the truth can do the same thing. When you tell it, when you explain it, when you back up what you say with evidence and facts and research and data and proof, it will grow in someone's mind. Anyway, I wanted to share this. Thank you, Daniil. I love you very much. I miss you. It's nice to, I don't watch a lot of political content because I'm too busy doing what I do. So it's nice to see other people in my cohort, meaning Midas Touch, the fellas over there, and the network of individuals they have that produce content, doing good work, changing hearts and minds, and that is what we need to do. I will see you next time. What do you have to say about this? Comment below. Somebody tag Midas Touch and let him know that the old dipshit over here is promoting their content? I don't know. Somebody said the other day, I know this is an aside, and I'll wrap here. It was a comment that I responded to, and they said, it's good to see me independent, not attached to any other outfit. And I said, well, I've never been attached to any other outfit. I've always been an independent person. Or never even, so many people got their start with TYT. That's not me. So many people did get their start or are still involved with Midas Touch. That's not me. For years and years and years, I was a one-man band, just me and Brittany Page, started with a podcast. Now I've got producer Chris, but it's just the three of us. It's a lot of work, but things like this really cement the fact that it is absolutely rewarding and worth all of the work. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Oh, comment below, call the phone number, email me. I don't remember if I said all that. If you want to help out the program, $2 a month. Channel member on YouTube, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, blah, blah, blah. Follow me on Blue Sky. I'm not on Nazi Twitter. I stopped talking about social media so long ago. I don't know. A little better mood than yesterday. That's good. I'll see you next time. I am going to end it. Here we are. I'm ending the show. Be genuine. Take care of one another.